Hello, everybody, and welcome to this short video on homeopathy for hay fever, which is very appropriate. I'm making this video at the beginning of April, so as you're probably aware, this is when all the pollens start to get very active and people start to suffer. Hay fever is not not a very pleasant thing to experience. I thankfully don't get it myself, but I know lots of people who do. So let's move straight ahead with our first slide, which is here are the common symptoms of hay fever. I'm sure you probably recognize them. So we're looking at tiredness, painful temples and forehead, earache, particularly loss of smell, sneezing and coughing, headache, itchy red or watery eyes, runny or blocked nose, and itchy throat, mouth and ears. Now, the hay fever season in the UK is it can start as early as late March when you get all the tree pollens, and then we progress on to the grasses in middle of May until about July, and then you get the weed pollens a little bit later from end of June to September. So now in homeopathy, so those are the kind of common symptoms, but in homeopathy, I cannot emphasize enough that you have to find the strange and the individual aspects of somebody's disease or their suffering. So you have to be able to match up a remedy. You have to be able to individualize. You have to find individual aspects. So there's not really one hay fever remedy. There's many, and it depends on the actual symptoms of the person. So often we try a remedy that's just not based on the individual aspects, but based on some generic aspect, and then we get disappointed because it doesn't work. The good thing is that if you try a remedy that doesn't work, not a problem. You just need to find another remedy. It doesn't mean that homeopathy doesn't work. It just means that you need to find the correct remedy. So we're looking for what we call the strange, rare, and peculiar, or striking, exceptional, unusual, and oddly characteristic symptoms. The strikingly characteristic symptoms tell you the nature of the disease state as well as the homeopathic remedy. So, just to re-emphasize, the choice of the remedy will depend on the individual characteristics of the case. Having said that, I'm going to contradict myself slightly, because we can take a more generic approach. This sometimes works for some people, and it's definitely worth a try. There's a remedy made from a mixture of tree pollens and shrub pollens. So for those of you that suffer from early onset hay fever, this normally means you're allergic to some tree pollen or a shrub pollen, and if you take probably one dose of the mixed trees and shrubs, I would say take a dose a week or two before you expect the symptoms. You may find this will actually help your hay fever, whatever else you take later on. If you have the later onset symptoms, to the mixed grass, then you need the mixed grasses remedy. You can get these from the Helios Homeopathic Pharmacy, helios.co.uk, and so ask for mixed grasses 30C, and again take one dose of that, and you can repeat it. I mean, it's very much depends on the case and the individual again, but you can repeat it maybe once a week for 2 or 3 weeks. See how you get on with that. So that's the prophylactic approach. Now let's have a look at some acute remedies for hay fever, and we're going to start with Allium cepa, which of course is just onion. And when you think of the onion, of course, when you're chopping onions, it causes a lot of sneezing and tears from your eyes, etc. In fact, the symptoms you get with hay fever. So it is very homeopathic to some cases of hay fever, and these are the bullet point symptoms to look out for with Allium cepa. So it particularly affects the nose with profuse watery nasal discharge. The discharge now can burn the nose and the upper lip, and there can be a sensation of rawness in the nose. Now, it is the other remedy, which we'll come to in a minute, has the opposite, which is euphrasia, has The tears are acrid and burn, but the nasal discharge is more bland. So it's the opposite of allium cepa. So the head can feel dull and bunged up. There's itching in the nose, back of throat, and the roof of the mouth. The eyes are red and sensitive to tears. Tears can burn, but normally the tears are more bland with allium cepa. These people who need allium cepa tend to be worse in a warm room and better from cool open air. Let's go on to arsenicum. So arsenic has long been known as it's one of Hahnemann, Dr. Samuel Hahnemann's original remedies made from arsenic. Obviously, it's been diluted to the nth degree, so it doesn't actually cause any problems or poisoning. It's incredibly dilute, so there's no problem there. But it sounds dramatic, especially when you tell your friends you're taking arsenic. And here with arsenic, we have burning in the eyes and nose. The nose is often constantly running. Often with arsenicum, there's a pronounced anxiety. These people are worried about their symptoms. They are constantly thinking about the symptoms or worried about their health or thinking it's worse. They're often exaggerating the symptoms. There's a lot of sneezing without relief. There can be, arsenicum is one of the remedies for hay asthma, so where there's wheezing and shortness of breath. Now, remember, these are just a few of the remedies. There are actually a lot more remedies. I'm giving you the sort of the main remedies that you often come across for hay fever. But if these don't work, it doesn't mean that homeopathy doesn't work for you. It means you need to probably seek out some professional help. With arsenicum, worse outdoors, better indoors. They tend to be very chilly, the arsenicum people. So let's moving on to euphrasia. And euphrasia is particularly affects the eyes. It's a very pretty little flower, and it's called eyebright. So that's the common name. So it gives a clue to what it's used for in medicine. So it affects the eyes, particularly profuse watery tears, sensation of sand in the eyes. The tears are acrid, and the nasal discharge is bland, which is the opposite, as I said, of allium cepa. The eyes often water in the wind and the sunlight, and the nose is sometimes running during the day, but then blocked at night. That's a particular characteristic euphrasia symptom. So that's euphrasia. Let's move on to sabadilla. Sabadilla is a sort of strange remedy. There's a sort of degree of, I think, of hysteria with sabadilla. It has particularly loud sneezing with a running nose and copious watery discharge. A lot of itching and tingling, dry mouth but thirstless. So you've got these kind of contradictory symptoms. They're dry mouth but they're thirstless. The better indoors and being wrapped up. The nose feels blocked, but it sort of changes size. It's inconstant. It changes from the left to the right and then from the right to the left. They're very, very sensitive to smells, particularly garlic and new cut grass. And even if they think about these smells, it can bring on the symptoms. They are particularly worse, all the symptoms are worse in the cold air as well. So that's sabadilla. Now, Wyethia, this is our final remedy. Wyethia is an interesting remedy. And the main symptom with Wyethia is this itching of the palate, the soft palate at the back of the mouth. And they want to scratch it. It's sort of infuriating, and they want to scratch it with their tongue. That's the main symptoms, but there's a sort of extreme dryness. There's often a constant swallowing or difficulty with sort of swallowing. They can be sweaty and they can be quite depressed with the hay fever. So that's definitely worth a try. Some of the other remedies have the itching of the back of the throat, but this is particularly pronounced in Wyethia. So it's definitely worth a go. Now, I just want to say a word about acute. What we've described are acute remedies for hay fever. They will often deal with symptoms while you're suffering from them, but then the following year you'll get them back again. To actually cure the annual appearance of hay fever does normally require professional treatment, because there's often other aspects, there's a more chronic aspect of hay fever which needs treatment, and you can over a period of time you can actually get rid of hay fever completely. And I offer just as an aside, I offer if you want to talk about your hay fever or any other health problem, you can have a free introductory phone chat with me. You just need to book in that on my website, and we can have a 30-minute chat about what's going on for you. The other thing I wanted to do is invite you to my new Facebook group, which is a group entitled Homeopathy for Coughs, Colds, Flu and Immunity, which obviously also includes hay fever as well. It's an autoimmune disease. And there's the QR code, so you can scan that, or you can just search for it in Facebook. You'd be very welcome to join us, and we've got all kinds of, you can bring along your problems and issues and comments, and there's all kinds of remedy and materia medica information and other cases and all kinds of stuff that of interest to anyone who loves homeopathy and wants to know more about it. So there we are. That's a short introduction to the remedies for hay fever. Thanks for joining me. Look forward to seeing you again soon. Bye for now.